Good day all, and thank you for joining my session today on how customer expectation is driving the need for blockchain-based food tracking. This is quite a big shift that I'm seeing globally, and I thought it would make sense to speak to the audience on this particular topic. My name is Mervyn George. I'm with SAP, the tech firm, and I'm based in Cape Town and joining you virtually today. Let me start by introducing myself. I've been in the IT sector spanning 2 decades, and that's largely been based on enterprise applications, so working with enterprise resource planning systems, customer relationship management systems, and analytical solutions. I've worked on multiple projects spanning different countries around the world, and those have also spanned different industry sectors, including oil and gas, professional services, high-tech, automotive, and the education sector. I've also worked on various roles spanning the end-to-end lifecycle that you would have with tech firms, and that's from business development to education, and also implementation and post-implementation support, and that's in a number of different capacities as well. I've been privileged to work with mature, but also with bootstrap tech startup and rapid growth tech firms. From an educational background, I've moved from the sciences with a focus on computer science and maths to industrial psychology, and then to an MBA with a focus on corporate strategy and innovation. Currently, my research within SAP focuses on enterprise adoption of blockchain, and the topic we'll talk about today, around various aspects of digital innovation strategy, and I do this with a focus on Africa at the moment. And I'm currently working on a project looking at the future of healthcare, and also what readiness for the future of work and augmented societies looks like going forward. What do I do in my spare time? I have a large family, so lots of activities with young children. I'm a cyclist and also do scale-up coaching. So that's me. Let me introduce SAP. I am aware that some of you in the audience watching this may not be familiar with SAP, the brand. SAP is a tech firm that's been around since the early 70s, initially starting with enterprise resource planning capability, and then branching out into various types of other solution areas. The portfolio at the moment still covers ERP and finance, but very much plays in the customer experience space. And that's anything from e-commerce sites to shopping sites, online stores, to chatbots and self-service type capability. Then we've got a big focus around network and spend management, and that's anything from looking after your purchasing planning, looking after your budgeting cycles, and also looking at your expense management processes. And then for digital supply chain, a big chunk of what I'm talking about today, intelligent technologies like blockchain, falls under the digital supply chain aspect, but you can imagine with IoT, sensors, and various other technologies, this is quite a key optimization area for businesses. Regarding the people engagement piece, this spans anything from employee experience management or people experience management to the core HR functions that you'd expect on a day-to-day within an organization. And then purely focus on development and integration. There's a big level of adoption with our cloud platform technology, which has various microservices and offers, among other things, integration capability. But today we're talking about consumer expectation, and we specifically interested from a fast-moving consumer goods or beverage perspective. But looking at a study done by Accenture in 2018, the focus here is around brands and affinity with those brands. And two of the important stats that they've found is that 2 in 3 people believe they are attracted to a particular brand, to buy from a particular brand, because the company has a culture and because it does what it says it will do and delivers on its promise. There's a big focus right now on purpose-led organizations and purpose-driven cultures and ecosystems, and this closely aligns with that. Also, 2 out of 3 people say that when a company is transparent, that's important. So for example, where it sources its materials, how it treats employees fairly, and so on. And that's a key chunk of what we expect blockchain to contribute to in this space. So in order to understand this a little bit better, let's try and figure out why SAP and why blockchain. The first thing I'd like to do is focus on the term provenance. Now, this is a term that started off originally being used in the art world to understand the place of origin and to understand the change of ownership that's taken place with unique pieces or rare pieces or highly valuable pieces of art. But ultimately, provenance is around also being able to check the authenticity of a particular item. In this case, it could be a luxury item like a diamond, It could also be consumer goods like handbags or wearable technology. But at the same time, you could use this capability to understand things like counterfeit pharmaceuticals and actually be able to check the authenticity of products as they move from stakeholder to stakeholder. So what I'd like to do is just show you a little bit about how this can actually work in an SAP context, looking at a blockchain-based end-to-end solution. For this demo, we'll be focused on smoothies and trying to understand how customer sentiment and customer appreciation of particular brands in a smoothie world is impacted by blockchain and how blockchain impacts the consumer experience. So we'll start with the sign-up process. We've got a farmer in South America. This farmer registers himself onto a network, a business network, and the information that they've captured around the types of products that they're supplying gets written to a ledger, to a blockchain. And once the farmer's details are on there, there are various other interactions that can take place. So next we have somebody during the harvest season, one of the farm workers named Jose, who manages to source certain tonnage of product, and that product will then be shipped to one of the cooperatives within proximity to the farm. And all of the information around the details in the product and what's contained, the date of harvesting, gets submitted to the same blockchain. So far we've got an understanding of the registration details for the farmer. We've got some information about product that's been harvested and shipments. We now have the farmer that is able to trade some of these products using a digital channel and is also able to capture the feedback around whether the payment that's been received has been a fair payment. Through the transportation process, even while we have cargo sitting on a shipping container traveling between parts of the world, we'll then have different people trading that product. So as it moves and exchanges ownership through that entire journey, we'll have all of those bits of information being placed in the blockchain as well. Once that container arrives at its destination, the customs official is able to then stamp that along with their digital signature. The trucker that will be transporting it to a bottling facility, the information and certain aspects around the cargo and trip all get captured, and all of these different parties now have their respective records updated on the blockchain as well. So for the consumer that's in store, they're able to scan a QR code on the side of this pineapple smoothie and then open up some information about it, like the ingredients that are in the product, certain nutritional information. They can also see information about production, where and how and what the production aspects or attributes were. There's information about ownership trail for the raw material and also the bottled item. And they can find out a little bit more about the farm. They can find out about the farmer, certain associations that they have with the relevant fair trade classifications. Also, there could be a place where the farm can share some information about farm life, the community, the workers. And then finally, some information about their harvesting history and whether the engagement with the traders has been considered fair. So this helps the consumer to then have an appreciation of what's taken place prior to this bottle sitting on the shelf in a store. And the consumer is able to go and capture some information about the product to rate it and say, I think this farm and I think this the ingredients in the farm are amazing. I think that's the best smoothie ever, and give it a 5-star rating. And that rating is also captured in the blockchain. So now we've got a whole string of information that's been captured with regard to this particular product, and the information around the feedback can also then be made available to different review rating sites. So now that we've seen the demo, let's see how SAP actually goes about doing this. There are two key aspects here in terms of building an ecosystem around blockchain. The first one is the consortium, and what SAP has always been strong at doing is working with industry sectors to understand best practices. And with the consortium approach, it's no different. That's several brands around the world aligning to provide some input in terms of how blockchain can shape their world, and where a company like SAP that has strength in the enterprise application space can help them. The second piece is co-innovation, and with co-innovation, we're looking at the creation of specific solutions that would be relevant to a specific customer or specific organization. So if there's something that you think could be of value, SAP can actually work with customers and also work with our partner ecosystem to help build some of those solutions. What I'd like to do now is show you an important video of one of the co-innovations that has taken place in the seafood, fishing, and distribution sector.
Saya Jafar, saya sebagai nelayan. Saya di Laut Indonesia, saya lagi mencari tuna sirip kuning.
Jafar's fish join thousand others here at the receiving plant. The scanner is the first step in capturing information about how and where the fish are caught. That info is stored in the cloud and enters a secure blockchain.
It makes me feel proud about myself. You can prove that your fish come from the right source.
Now this is the safety story. Here in this independent laboratory, we test the food safety of the product. The data is instantly available. In the past, I had to search for data, and now it's there at the stroke of a keyboard. The data generated in this laboratory is fed up to the blockchain. It is then available to the premier restaurants and retailers in the United States. I take the responsibility very personally. I never want someone to get sick.
Here we are at the finishing point, the last step before this fish gets to your table. What's incredible is that we track every piece of fish, and we share that information and that transparency with the people who will end up eating this fish. We have our first look at the new blockchain analytics for the supplier. Let's go through and see Jafar's fish. And it pulls up the amount of fish he's caught on every day, how much they weighed, and how much was fair trade.
It's a lot of data.
This is connected to the SAP blockchain. It's based on permissions, so only specific suppliers will give access to their specific data.
Nice.
Aku jadi pingin nelayan Indonesia untuk selama-lamanya. Saya Jafar, saya bisa membagikan pekerjaan saya kepada dunia.
So now that we've seen an example of how customers using this, let's go back to the question of why SAP and blockchain. The way I see it, the two key enablers that blockchain provides for different parts of a business. The first one is the digital supply chain strategy. The second one is the customer experience management strategy. And as we've seen with regard to digital supply chain, we have certain benefits that you can achieve by leveraging enterprise applications with blockchain technology. The first is around control of the origin and also the able to authenticate that. From an international trade perspective, we've got multiple stakeholders needing to interact or write information to the same ledger. And also then the trust by transparency, the fact that you can see all of this information and permission-based be able to have the subsets visible that you need to see. Then for the customer experience management perspective, we talked about provenance and the importance of being able to understand the origin of a particular product and the change of ownership. From a consumer expectation perspective, being able to understand or appreciate that the source materials being used in the product that I'm consuming have got a sustainability factor associated to that. Ethical sourcing is in place, and being able to see that. And then that ultimately would drive affinity with the brand, improve my perception of a brand, my alignment with the purpose, and make me want to choose them over another brand when I am sitting in front of two options in a retail store. So in terms of strategic direction, SAP to date has been able to allow customers and organizations to build blockchain on its cloud platform, and this could be through a Hyperledger Fabric, Quorum, or multi-chain. But the focus going forward is around helping business networks to interact with blockchain platforms. An example of a business network in our case is our Reba procurement platform, where you've got tens of thousands of suppliers and buyers that are communicating on a daily basis, and you've got trillions of dollars worth of value being exchanged in transactions between people or companies in those networks. But there are multiple other networks. As soon as you've got different stakeholders within an ecosystem, within an industry, and you need to engage between those stakeholders, and you've got a potential lack of trust, you could benefit from transparency or a single version of that truth. Blockchain becomes a viable use case technology for that. So what we are focused on doing is providing a layer of abstraction, which is called SAP Blockchain Business Services, and that will live on our SAP Cloud Platform as one of the microservices available. And this layer of abstraction will allow you to talk between your business network and the blockchain technology without needing to know the specifics of how blockchain works, and basically providing that type of interface or API where no data would be stored, but instead the secure hash would be stored so that you can be able to easily find the right records or information that you need to in each of those source or target systems. So that's SAP's direction going forward. I think it's got tremendous value in terms of helping organizations that are multinational, multi-stakeholder based, that have got digital supply chain or customer experience channels that they want to improve on, to then engage or interact with blockchain technology platforms. So where to from here? I encourage you to please get in touch with me. The email address, as you can see, is mervyn.george@sap.com. I do have a Twitter account if you want to reach out that way. But by far the most active platform for me is LinkedIn, and you can see the address here. Or if you like scanning QR codes, there's one on the screen right now that you could point your camera at and be able to connect to my profile. I'm happy to chat, whether it be a follow-up discussion around how blockchain can help your business in this type of consumer-centric or customer-centric scenario, or if it's a case of trying to arrange a demo for a particular group within your organization. Again, please do reach out to me and we can see what the logical follow-up step might be. Then what I encourage you to do is just take a minute or two to check out this demo yourself. And again, you can take your camera, point it at the QR code, and what that will do is launch a sample of the Bumblebee demo or video that we saw earlier, where you can actually engage with some of the data. You can learn about the people that are at the point of fishing or sourcing of the fish for a can of tuna that you might be buying on a shelf. So this is trying to emulate what you would see in store while you're working with your mobile device. As you do a browse through, there are a couple of videos that will tell you a little bit more about the communities that are doing the fishing, and you can see some aspects of the supply chain end to end. So with that, I'd like to close. I'd like to thank you for your attention. I've really enjoyed sharing this message. It's one that I'm quite passionate about. And as I said, if you've got any further questions, please do reach out to me through one of those different channels. Thank you.